Stephen. During the early winter months along the shores of Lake Michigan, my friends and I ventured out to a historic hotel to have dinner. Much of this hotel was closed for the winter season, so only the bar and dining room areas were open that night. Following dinner, we all headed to the bar area despite the cold outside. Things inside were noisy and excited because the Packers were winning that night. I left the lively scene to use the restroom, and on my way back, decided to have a look around the rest of the beautiful Victorian era hotel. It had tall windows facing the lake that had just enough moonlight coming in through them so that I could see around the room. There were small tables and chairs arranged in cozy groups opposite the check-in desk, with thick carpet that ran the length of the reception area. My attention was drawn ahead to the dark wooden staircase that led to the second floor, looking back toward the bar area to make sure no one had noticed me missing. I ventured up the stairs. Upon reaching the first landing, I could make out rows of metal bed frames that lined both sides of the area. The mattresses rolled up for the winter storage. Just as I was thinking that I should get back to the bar, I noticed a light on around the corner at the far end of the landing area. I wondered why anyone would be up on this level and decided to investigate. The floor creaked under my feet as I tried to quietly maneuver to the light. I paused to make sure I didn't hear anyone coming to look for me. I rounded the corner to discover 4 steps leading to a beautiful heavy wooden door. I stood there amazed, staring at the craftsmanship and construction. There was thick dust layered on the steps, and clearly visible in the dust were small footprints. A lone child had recently been through the door. I hadn't seen any children in the hotel restaurant, and certainly there weren't any in the bar. I could only rationalize that the child was in some kind of trouble. So I picked up my foot to climb the stairs. Before my foot touched the first step, there was a very loud, startling noise as the heavy door exploded open. It slammed against the wall, and the coldest wind I've ever felt rushed over me like a raging, ice-cold river. I moved faster than I had ever before in my rush to get back to the bar and the crowd of people there. I was pale and trembling as I collapsed onto a seat. I couldn't blink, speak, or think clearly. The bartender leaned down in front of me and asked what had happened. I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't. I didn't. I continued stammering. When I looked into his eyes, I could see that he knew. He knew exactly what had happened to me. His face went white as his eyes grew round and opened wide as he said, "You met Stephen." "Stephen? Who is Stephen?" Casting glances to either side, the bartender leaned close to my ear. "I just broke up with my girlfriend. I've been pretty bummed about it. Yesterday I was on my hands and knees polishing the fancy glassware. When I broke down, I started crying. I didn't want anyone to know, so I just stayed on there on the floor. I felt someone rubbing my back and telling me it was alright and not to cry. I felt so much better until I realized I was the only one in the hotel. The kitchen staff had gone into town to pick up food for dinner service. Things like this happen a lot. The rest of the staff are from this area and grew up with Stephen's story." I asked what the story was, and the bartender continued. "One night, a couple arrived with a dark little boy. They skipped out the next day without paying their bill. The manager went up to the room to see if they had left anything behind to pay what they had owed. Only to find the little boy there dead. We decided to call him Stephen. So Stephen has never left the hotel."